You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for the week of May 15th, 2017 are about to head your way. So go ahead and press that record button. As always, thank you for broadcasting and listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Breathe deeply, get in touch with your inner self, and tap into all that energy. Aha! You think I'm talking about yoga, but it's really about cars. When I come back, I'll rev you up.
O'Reilly. Restore lost fuel economy and eliminate rough idle with Likis Fuel Injector Cleaner. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, buy 2 bottles of Likis Fuel Injector Cleaner and get 1 free. Clean clogged injectors and increase fuel efficiency with Likis Fuel Injector Cleaner. Buy 2, get 1 free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Top performance in humans and in cars depends on oxygen intake. But how do you know if your car's getting enough? That's the job of close-pin-sized gadgets called oxygen sensors. When in tip-top shape, these monitors measure oxygen in the exhaust, then signal onboard computers to adjust fuel-air ratios in the engine for complete combustion. But worn sensors give faulty cues, resulting in poor performance, higher emissions, and lower gas mileage. So check out those sensors. Then you and your car can breathe easy. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Making it to work on time may be hard, but the journey itself doesn't have to be. When I come back, I'll provide some commuting comforts that'll make your 5 o'clock horses easier to ride.
O'Reilly. Restore lost fuel economy and eliminate rough idle with Likis Fuel Injector Cleaner. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, buy 2 bottles of Likis Fuel Injector Cleaner and get 1 free. Clean clogged injectors and increase fuel efficiency with Likis Fuel Injector Cleaner. Buy 2, get 1 free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
So what creature comforts do commuters crave in their automotive beast of burden? Per Edmunds.com, comfortable seats and well-designed cup holders make the ride in the saddle physically cozy, while in-dash CD players and wheel-mounted radio controls allow ample entertainment with minimal hassle. In-console power points and hands-free voice-activated phone systems make it easy for office-bound pilgrims to do a little business before they arrive. And since feeding the horses under your hood can take the gold right out of your saddlebags, good gas mileage can really make a difference between an old gray mare and a red-hot pony. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Fashion Flash. Mud brown is not in color style. But before you bleach your wardrobe, I'll tell you how to be in vogue on the runway called The Road when we come back.
O'Reilly. Restore lost fuel economy and eliminate rough idle with Likis Fuel Injector Cleaner. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, buy 2 bottles of Likis Fuel Injector Cleaner and get 1 free. Clean clogged injectors and increase fuel efficiency with Likis Fuel Injector Cleaner. Buy 2, get 1 free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Talk about automotive fashion dilemmas. Here's what designers have to say about filthy, mud-brown vehicles. Wash them. On today's fashionable freeways, dirt's out and pretty paint's in. So here's how to give your hard-working model the red carpet treatment. First, hose off loose dirt that could scratch paint in the cleaning process. Then wash using a sponge, soap specifically designed for car paint and vertical strokes. Finally, rinse thoroughly. And if you really want to make a fashion statement, wax. Now your model's ready for the front cover of Cars Mopolitan. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. A genie's granted you $2,000. Would you buy a Caribbean cruise, new wardrobe, precious jewels? How about slick tires? When I come back, I'll tell you why this choice is no diamond in the rough.
O'Reilly. Restore lost fuel economy and eliminate rough idle with Likis Fuel Injector Cleaner. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, buy 2 bottles of Likis Fuel Injector Cleaner and get one free. Clean clogged injectors and increase fuel efficiency with Likis Fuel Injector Cleaner. Buy 2, get 1 free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You've rubbed a magic lamp, and the genie's granted you 4 slick tires. Hey, before you diss the genie, know that slick tires are the jewels of the racetrack and every driver's dream. Why? Traction. Because slicks don't have tread, their contact patch with the track surface is larger, which means more traction and faster lap times. During a race, teams can make a 4-tire pit stop 6 times. That's 24 slicks per race and 720 per season for a grand total of $360,000. Imagine the vacations that would buy. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Now there's another reason to look forward to Friday, the favorite day of the work week and aptly named for the Roman goddess of love. When we come back, I'll tell you why Friday's an automotive sweetheart.
O'Reilly.
Restore lost fuel economy and eliminate rough idle with Likis Fuel Injector Cleaner. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, buy 2 bottles of Likis Fuel Injector Cleaner and get one free. Clean clogged injectors and increase fuel efficiency with Likis Fuel Injector Cleaner. Buy 2, get 1 free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Fridays are best known for winding down the work week and gearing up the weekend. But before you turn to the open road, Friday's also the best day to head for your service shop. Most repair facilities are busiest Monday through Thursday, tending to cars that break, often of cumulative neglect over the previous weekend. With a big rush over, technicians tend to spend more time, are more thorough, and pay extra attention to detail on Fridays. With some elected pre-repair on Friday, you'll fall in love with Mondays all over again. TGIF. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Yes, call now, and also we'll open up the 888 number. It's 888-227-2546. Gosh, I hope that number is actually forwarded to the right. So, folks, this is the neatest thing. I say neat because 45 seconds ago, well, 55 now, you could not get into the studio because our phones would not unforward. We were trying to get calls. We were trying to call to test the phones, to open the phones up. Well, guess what? They just refused. And we have this Samsung 2 hard drive disk, very sophisticated phone system with 1,000 voicemail boxes. So somehow or other this week, as we were working on it, Roger's called, so we know we know it's open. Okay, all right, crisis over. 888 Car Clinic works. 888-227-2546. Hey, great news! This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by Stant Corporation, makers of the Super Stant. That's my thermostat. Well, it's not my thermostat; it's Stant's, but it's a fantastic unit. Reach for the thermostat that professionals like installers prefer. Learn more about the Superstat and Stant's entire collection of aftermarket caps and thermostats. Where? That's easy. Stant.com. I wish everything were that easy. I wish repairing cars was that easy. But I'll tell you what we can do. We can talk about buzzwords. Give us a call. Jan will take your call at 888 Car Clinic. Stant is the expert when it comes to radiator caps, thermostats, and fuel caps, supplying manufacturers as far back as Henry Ford's Model A. For OE performance, you can trust that Stant fuel caps will deliver. A leaking fuel cap is more than just the pain of a check engine light. Evaporating fuel costs money. Stant fuel caps are built so well they can even seal with part of the cap broken away, helping to keep you safe. Stant has locking caps, too. Drive to Stant.com or your local retailer today. That's Stant.com. It's a great time to shop for tires. Starting Monday, May 15th and running through June 15th, General Tire is offering up to $70 on a prepaid Visa gift card when you purchase 4 qualifying tires. General Tire offers unbeatable technologies like replacement tire monitors, smart grip, and smart monitors. And with new tires like the G-Max AS05 and the Grabber HD, the selection has never been better. Find your next set of tires at GeneralTire.com. That's GeneralTire.com. Good morning, Car Clinic listeners nationwide. I've been talking with you about your automobiles for over 25 years now, and I've been servicing vehicles right here in my own automotive service shop for over 46. We've won Best Automotive Service Shop, Best Oil Change, and Best Reputation in Automotive Service, and I'd be honored if you vote for my service shop again for Best of the Bay. Go to bestof.pnj.com. That's bestof.pnj.com. Look for the professional category. Then click on Bobby Likis Car Clinic for Best Automotive Service Shop and Best Oil Change. 3 simple steps. Go to bestof.pnj.com, scroll to professional category, click on Bobby Likis Car Clinic for Best Automotive Service Shop and Best Oil Change. I appreciate your vote of confidence.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, it starts my morning. Happy morning, your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here, your aroma helps me wake, and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And let's get started with this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So let me give you the rundown. Every Saturday from 10 till noon, I come to you on your local AM and or FM radio station, and we open up phones. Miss Jan takes your calls, and well, she does sit. Sometimes she stands up when I call her Tina, which is not her name. Good morning, Tina. Mean, isn't that mean? It's Mother's Day, right? Tomorrow? How about Happy Mother's Day, and I'll Happy Mother's Day to my wife's mom who passed recently, and Miss Robbie Cravey, and she was 99.9. How about that? 99 years and 9 months. So she was a 4'9" at best when she was standing on with high heels. I think was really quite a lady. She had a few wrecks there at the very end. Well, several years ago when we stopped her from driving, and she ran over a portalet, folks. I'm telling you, just. And luckily, no one was in it. This is a fact. She did. She ran over. And for your information, a little trivia for you. A portalet cost $406. Oh, gosh. Okay, let's talk about car. Well, I was talking about car. She had a Ford Escort that was the most expensive Ford Escort in the world. Why? Because it had been to the body shop so many times. And here in Pensacola, and for those of you who are tuned in across the nation and across the globe, in Pensacola, our foremost premier body shop is Frank Whitfield's West Florida Paint and Body Shop. And I've known this man for 50 years. I think he's been in business 50 years. Well, yeah, because I've been in business 46 years. And it's just unbelievable. And for as good as I think and great as I think our team is, I don't think we could ever duplicate what he does, because he's in the collision business and we're in the automotive repair business. But he takes a car that is all crumpled and makes it look brand new. So we did all the service work on my mother-in-law's car, right? And of course Frank at Frank Whitfield's West Florida Paint and Body did all the body work. So every time somebody saw her, her whatever year it was, 87 or Ford Escort, they said, "Wow, your car looks brand new." She said, "Oh yeah, Bobby Likis and his team take care of my car." And of course, we took care of what was underneath, the brakes and the steering, which we tried to tell her how to and show her how to use. Obviously, she didn't use it very well. And the bottom line is, we got credit for Whitfield's all his body work, because it did. It looked brand new. You know why? Because it was. It was always new. If it wasn't a quarter panel or a scratch or a scrape or a what have you. But anyway, so for all of you moms out there, and of all of you listeners who have moms that are reaching that age that maybe they shouldn't drive, it's a good thing not to let them drive. It really is. You can save somebody's life. It could be mine. It could be yours, and it could be theirs. So there's my story for Mother's Day. I've got another story that I'll share after our phone calls, and I'll also invite you, if you've got a favorite story that you'd like to share, 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546 is the number. Miss Jan will take your call. She's a mom as well, and put you in the queue, and then I will put you on the air. And then in a few minutes, I want to share with you a story about a car that was towed in by AAA. And by the way, our service facility, Car Clinic Service Pre-Repair in Pensacola, Florida on Davis Highway, is a certified AAA repair authorized service shop. So we get a lot of cars towed in by AAA. And we had one towed in recently, and after I talk with Roger, if I have time this segment, I'll tell you about it. But it's a great story. But first, Roger, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic from South Carolina. How you doing this morning, sir?
It's fine. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm real
I have a
proud.
1994 Dodge Dakota, six-cylinder. Love that truck. Not getting rid of it. But anyway, I rarely put more than $3 or $4 of gas, much to my wife's chagrin, in there. I just don't do it. But anyway, if I put, say, a half tank or more in there, even if I'm driving down the road or sitting on, even if it's level, the gas gauge fluctuates back down to zero, back above full, whatever it is. The gas gauge just fluctuates.
Well, that's. Are you familiar with have you ever seen a gas gauge out of a tank? What it looks like?
No.
Okay. Have you ever lifted the top off of a toilet tank and bent that rod so that the water would shut off because it would the ball was not stopping the flow of water?
I think so, yes.
Okay. Well, that's the same methodology that fuel tanks use. There's a float in the fuel tank. The float is hooked to an arm, obviously, and when the float goes up, that arm changes voltage resistance, and the gauge says, oh, there's more fuel in it, or there's less fuel, because it electronically changes the reading that the gauge that you're looking at. So there are two components to a fuel gauge. The one in the tank, which is like a toilet tank with an arm and a float, and there's one on the dash. So I suspect, I wouldn't say that I know, because we don't know anything until we actually get in there and repair it. I suspect that you have to drop the fuel tank and replace the fuel sender unit. And Roger, you'll want to, at the same time, when you get ready to do that, replace the fuel pump module. And that's going to be more expensive, but here's why you want to do that. Number one, it's labor intensive to drop the fuel tank on a lot of vehicles, and it also is something that you can't do because there's always fuel and certainly fuel vapors in it. So that's a dangerous operation. So when you do decide to fix the gauge, you can have it tested first. You should replace what's called the module, and it's a fuel pump module. And that fuel pump module includes the new arm, the bracket, the gauge, the whole 9 yards, and it includes the fuel pump. So you've got a 94 model automobile. It's old enough that the fuel pump's going to die sooner or later. So that's one fell swoop, and you would not want to do. It would be like having open heart surgery, and you wake up and your doctor comes in. How you feeling, Roger? I'm feeling well. Well, we did a bypass. Look, you need a double bypass. We're going to go back in there in 6 months and do the other one. What? Why didn't you do it while you were there? So it's the same thing for your car. This is really, or your truck, have the pump assembly replaced. Any questions?
Suppose I don't want to do that and just leave it as it is. And I thought maybe, really, I thought maybe
it's okay. That would be fine. I mean, you're not
won't
hurting.
Quit running.
Do what now?
The car won't quit operating.
No, sir. No. The gauge really has nothing to do with the way the car operates. The gauge is a separate entity, and you could take the float off, throw it away, and the car would still run. Now, in later model automobiles, the gauge has a lot to do with engine controls. But for your '94 Dakota, you can put up with that just as long as you want to put up with it. Just whenever the engine quits because the pump quits, then you'll fix both with one fell swoop. You got it?
Okay. Well, that's good. Well, listen, thanks for the information.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling.
Appreciate it. Have a nice day, and everybody have a nice Mother's Day. Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you, Roger. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's pretty cool, folks. Everybody have a nice Mother's Day. So I will tell you a story about a AAA car, but first let's go to New York and take a call. And I'll remind you, if you've got a story about your mom or who may be deceased or not. If she's not, you should tell the story. You should bring her over to the phone and say, Mom, or to the radio and say, Mom, listen to this. I'm going to tell a story on you. because, as I said, my mother-in-law ran over and ran through a portalette. $406 portalette. Bob from New York, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Good morning.
Yeah, hi, Bobby.
Hi, sir.
Okay. I had called you a few weeks back about the 440 code. And,
okay. Well, if you would you have to turn your radio down. Now.
Yeah, it's
okay.
off.
All right, great.
Okay.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay. Since then, they're replacing the fuel lines because there was a leak, so that was done. And then still couldn't find anything, on setting 440. So took it in for the smoke test, and not only are able to, check the pressure valve and the vent valve.
Right.
Those were working fine. The smoke test, though, it turned up rusted fuel filler pipe with a number of, pinholes and rust with smoke coming out. So that's normal here. So anyway, I bought, new pipe, installed that, and then, still then tripped off, 440. So back again. They smoked it again. No leaks anywhere. Both valves working fine. Thought that there's nothing wrong. So there's no charge either because there was just nothing wrong. So we just reset the codes and said start from there.
Right.
And sure enough, back on the 440 code. Takes a little bit, but as soon as it's going through the I am readiness and, gets to the fuel, it's...
right. Hey, Bob, stay right there. And, folks, stay right there. We've got a hard break, and I'll come back, Bob. I'll ponder this through the break, and then we'll pick up where we left off. Folks, recently we had a four-cylinder 2014 Nissan Frontier in the shop. The customer said the vehicle wasn't running well, nothing specific, but fuel mileage was down and the vehicle had lost its zip. As he explained, it's a manual transmission, so I know what it should feel like, and it's just not right. The suggested maintenance and ignition service were up to date, and there were no trouble codes. So what was the problem? The answer lies with today's complex engines. While the maintenance schedule was on time, engines today are prone to carbon deposit formation, and fuel system cleaning is a key piece of the puzzle. Professional fuel system cleaning is an option, but a less expensive alternative is the use of a pour-in fuel system cleaner. We use Berryman B12 Chem Tool in the shop. It features Berryman's proprietary high-energy solvent, or HEST technology. We poured a bottle of Berryman B12 Chem Tool into the Frontier, and after just one tank of gas, MPG improved and the vehicle regained its zippiness. For more information, drive to BerrymanProducts.com. That's BerrymanProducts.com. Folks, we're testing an Intune i2 performance programmer from Diablo Sport, and we'll share feedback and results over the next few months. First is ease of installation. Directions were clear and the setup was easy. The Intune i2 is preloaded with dyno and street-tested performance programs developed specifically for your car or truck, ensuring optimal power and drivability gains. From there, you can then customize a tune tailored to your own performance needs. What a great way to boost power without even popping the hood. Diablo Sport Intune i2 has a fantastic look and now features the latest generation ARM processor for a higher resolution screen and an exceptionally responsive touchpad. You can update your i2 software on virtually any computer, Windows, Mac, Linux, and update times are fast. Even the large updates take no more than 5 minutes. I'll report more to you about the Intune i2 in the coming weeks. In the meantime, check out the i2 for yourself at DiabloSport.com. That's DiabloSport.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
98.
Higher.
Higher, 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. 888-227-2546 is the number for you to call. Again, every Saturday from 10 till noon, we come to you and from your local radio station. And we did have a radio station in Missouri that has a challenge with our broadcast this morning, so we're our break was a little bit out of sync for this segment, so apologize for that. And it's KREI. We've been on that station for since I was barefoot. Well, that's not true. It's close. Let's go to New York and pick up our conversation. We're talking with Bob. Bob's got a 2000 Cavalier with evaporative emission codes. And that code and that check engine light keeps popping on. He's already replaced some rusted pipes. The fuel filler pipe was rusted, and checked the codes and checked the sensors. So, Bob, obviously, because there's a failure or a fault in the evaporative emission system. And just because the solenoids are testing okay doesn't mean that they're working okay full time. Now, what I would do, and what I would suggest that your shop does, and they may have already done this, and it sounds like they did, because as I get it, the last time that you went back, when that light came back on, they had the same code. They didn't charge you for anything, and they went back through and they did another smoke test after they had found the initial leaking pipe that was rusted, and all is well. So here's what happened to me recently, and it happened to my new car. The gas cap rusted, and it was my fault, which is really unusual. Not that it was my fault is unusual, but it was what I did and what I normally do when I wash my car. Whenever I wash my car, I rinse out the fuel filler door. I mean, when I say rinse it out, I flood it with water, which doesn't hurt anything because the water doesn't go into the fuel tank. And trace amounts of water wouldn't hurt fuel anyway. But what had happened when I filled that cavity, and of course there's a drain for the well, but of course it fills up and then it drains out. But what I was doing is I was filling the cap with water. Well, inside the fuel filler cap, there's a spring and a relief valve. And that spring had rusted. Normally that spring wouldn't see any water because it's upside down and it's a cap screwed on, and there's a plastic cover over it. But that's what happened, and I replaced the cap, and then I took the cap apart to determine why it failed, because I wanted to see what broke. So I said all that to say that I'm going to assume you've already replaced something so simple as the gas cap. Is that correct?
Not that. I had inspected the gas cap, the slots in it, to see, the spring was, all shiny and nice. Then, because there's a good-sized rubber seal, a lot of them have a big O-ring. Otherwise, there's like a flat one. So I took the silicone grease and a Q-tip and just wiped it around that rubber seal to, make sure, that's sealed. So, that was done too.
Well, let me say this. To that end, and of course, I did the same thing on mine, and I just, in fact, recently, my barber had a similar problem, and I instructed him to just pull the cap off and do the same thing that you did with yours. And he said, I went back for 2 weeks later and for my haircut, and he says, "You're a genius." Not really. And he said that he looked at that seal, and sure enough, there was one little area where it wasn't sealing, and he straightened out the rubber. I guess it had folded over or something, and that fixed it. I told him it would take about 3 drive cycles before the light would go off. And a drive cycle is where you fire the engine up and you cold in the morning, ambient temperature, and then you drive it up to it's warm. That's one cycle, and then another is, and so on and so forth. So you might go 3 days, and it might take 3 drive cycles. In fact, we have to sometimes, after we repair an automobile, drive it quite often through a drive cycle. And that drive cycle, like a Porsche, if you change oil and filter on a Porsche, and if you've had the hood open and you turn the key on with the hood open, it knows the hood's open. So the reset for the oil change will not reset until you drive that car 6 miles. That's how sophisticated those cars are. So I say to you, yeah, go ahead.
So what I did, instead of, waiting for that to clear with drive cycles, if it ever would,
right,
is just reset the codes. And I have a fairly good tester. Used to be, in the business before I retired.
Right.
I had a shop. But, this was like 15 years ago. So anyway, cars have advanced. But, I can check a little further than just a code, and I can get, runtime parameters, et cetera. Checking that, the cap, and, that's where I was now, and I checked that seal very carefully for any wrinkles or anything that would indicate, a lack of seal there. But then I thought, well, the smoke, test should work on that anyway, because you actually pressurize it. But I have not replaced the gas cap. That's about the only thing left here is instead of starting to replace the sensors. So I'm wondering, I don't know what reads provides the input for the codes for the evaporative control.
Well, the system has its own pump. On your particular vehicle, the system has its own pressurized pump. And so when you turn the car off, in fact, that system is so sophisticated, talking about later model automobiles, and even Toyotas use a vacuum system. And some automobiles, 5 minutes after you walk away from the car, you're out of it, it's locked, and you say, "Oh, my car is dormant," right? 5 minutes later, the system will check its evaporative system for security. So anyway, but to make a long story short, because we can't solve this on the air, I would replace the gas cap, because as try as you did, you cannot test unless you have the means to, and you have to have an adapter to do this, the gas cap check valve. And the check valve allows air to go in, but it does not allow air to go out. And it's a very minor, lightly sprung, because otherwise, if you draw fuel from the tank and you didn't let air in, the tank would collapse. And I've actually had a car to do that before, years ago, because a dirt dauber had stopped up the vent for the fuel tank. It was a Mercedes diesel. But the bottom line, that being said, I think you should just try a gas cap just for grins, and because you've already replaced one or two components there. And otherwise, you're just going to have to go back to the shop, and they're going to have to really, really pinpoint it. And sooner or later, it could even be the evaporative canister assembly itself. And that canister assembly is a module in and of itself. And we've replaced many of those on many, many cars specifically on some Toyotas and other makes as well. But I know your car is a Chevrolet. But so gas cap, because it's the least expensive, and if it's not wrong, if it doesn't fix it, no harm, no foul. And then from there, I think that you may ultimately have to replace the module, and that's a vapor canister, and it's located probably in the rear of the car near the gas tank or bolted directly onto the structure.
So it's underneath the car.
Okay, yeah.
This one. So,
that would be my next. That would be my next guess.
Hey, the only other symptom I can tell you where, not checking that again, is then, when turning, then to open a cap, there's a hiss of either, air coming out or air coming in. So, it's certainly sealed.
That definitely shows a seal. So now, and I'll let you go and move on. But one more thing. You could have a bad ground, or you could have, and this is where the real nitty-gritty comes in. If all that we've said is okay on your car, if the module's okay and the cap's okay and the solenoids are okay, then there a pinout test, and a pinout test means that a technician checks the integrity of each wire, meaning that the ohms resistance for each wire is tested. And you could have a bad, poor ground, which happens often in cars these days. And if the computer that uses voltage sees and there's a bad ground, then it will not see the proper voltage. And so all the things that we've talked about are a combination of physical containment of fumes and how that's transferred to the computer electronically, and if those wires are if they're oxidized or rusted, bingo, there's your problem. Anyway, I wish you the best, my friend.
Okay, I did check the wires to the vent valve, and that I thought was a problem, so I changed the connector in the wires because of just for that.
Gotcha.
Because so.
Well, you did we seriously. Did you take a DVOM and check ohms resistance of the wires from one point to another? And the answer is no.
Yeah.
Yes, no.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, that's how I got those. Had to replace that plug.
You found some challenges there.
Yeah.
Go back.
That was on the
vent
there. Valve.
Go back there, and I would replace that vent valve. That's all I can help you with. I got to take another call. I'll be back after this.
Here's an email from a car clinic listener. David writes, "What's the amber light on my dash? It looks like a cork pointing at an angle to a picture on the side of the car. This light has been on and off for about a year now, and I think it's time I check it out." Well, David, no time like the present. The light indicates a detected failure that could allow gasoline fumes to evaporate into the air, costing you money in lost fuel and polluting the air. Most common failure that trips the light? A small evap leak, or in other words, loose fuel cap. Besides being tight, the cap must also be in good condition. Fuel caps don't last forever, and poor quality caps don't work well from the beginning. Stant makes a large line of fuel caps that will last a very long time and ensure proper sealing of the system. Stant fuel caps are the only aftermarket caps to include all the safety features of the original equipment cap. Visit Stant.com or ask your local parts store for a Stant gas cap by name.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So Bob in New York that had a problem with his fuel vapor. And folks, as you can tell, there's more to automotive repair than meets the eye. And Bob, I'm sure you're still tuned in, but I sincerely believe that you've got you had rusted pipe, and you fixed that. You replaced it, I'm sure, and you had but as we ended our communication and our connection there, because we had the hard break coming up, and we're limited, per call on time, I still believe that you have a wiring problem, and I don't know how you replaced the wire, but the plug for a wire on an electronic car these days is not a standard wire. It is a special plug. It's weather resistant. There's male, female pins, and I don't know how you would go about doing that. But in the big scheme of things, what we use is not just a code reader, which is what you're using and trying to fix the car with. We use a machine that's a $5,000 at least, or more sometimes, $10,000 scan tool and computerized tool that allows us to get beyond the gatekeeper in the vehicle. A gatekeeper is there to keep people from going into the system and modifying the system. But when we take a car in the shop, we have to go into that system so that we can actuate and make those solenoids activate. And you can't do that with a reader. You have to do it with a sophisticated tool. That's a reader, but it also is a doer. It's not a read-only machine. It is a read, and it doesn't write. Well, it can write because we can reprogram vehicles. Anyway, let's go to Chris in Florida, and then we're going to go to Jim in Michigan, and then we'll take your calls at 888-227-2546. Again, 227-2546. Chris, thank you for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Good morning, Bobby.
Morning, sir.
It's a pleasure.
My
talking
pleasure.
with you. And you know that you was talking about that gas tank earlier.
Right.
I called you about a fuel pump, and I've listened to you for so many years. You've talked about that, and I've given that advice, and people think I'm an expert now.
Well, Chris, thank you.
Listen to the expert. You're the expert.
Well,
they said, well,
you know what's really cool? I have a lot of times a lot of women that call in the show, and if we get one female caller, then that's a trigger for others. So for you ladies out there, 888 Car Clinic, you should call 888-227-2546. But what I love to do is I love to give a woman a buzzword, you know, like I can't think of one off the top of my head, but so that when they take the car into the service shop, they say, yeah, my car's not running well. I hope it's not a resistance, ohms resistance in some of the wiring for the computer. And I can just imagine that what the person at the service desk would say, how does she know that? So I've had a lot of fun doing that, and I know. Okay, let's talk about you got an 09 Grand Marquis. What's your question?
I need some shocks to level it out in the back when I tow a trailer. Do you have a recommendation of how I could do that?
Well, yeah, they make an airbag, a shock with an airbag. And,
a shock with an airbag.
Yeah,
okay.
and it's a standard shock absorber. Well, it's not standard because it has a bag, but it's a standard internal shock absorber, but it has an airbag bladder over it, so it still works as a shock absorber, and yet there's a separate hose that runs to it. And gosh, years ago, I put on airbags or air shocks on many cars, and then I would run an air valve, a Schrader valve, well, not a Schrader, well, yeah, regular tire valve stem, hose to as a rule, I would run it to where the trailer hitch was, because if people add something to the car, that's where you'd want to hook up the wires and hook the chains up and also put air in. So you could do that. And then I took it a step further. I had a motorhome, and it had airbags inside the front coils from the factory, and of course the airbag didn't have a hose, and you had to get under it and put air in it. I said, well, that's dumb. So I actually ran hoses from each bag to the interior, and I had a control. It was very sophisticated for the time, and a gauge, and I could raise or lower the vehicle depending on the road conditions or on what I thought I wanted to do, which was fun. And motorhomes are all about fun. So that's what you can do. And there are a couple of companies there I think of. Gabriel, I've always admired the Gabriel shock because years ago, the Gabriel was one of the first that came out, at least to my knowledge, a 50-50 shock. And that meant that the jounce and the rebound, one way it was, a normal shock is 90-10. A normal shock will allow the vehicle to rise up with 10% resistance, and then but to come down is 90% resistance. And what that does, that keeps the tires on the road, because it helps stops the tire from bouncing off the road. And you would think a shock is made to make a car ride well, and it is, but really a shock is made to keep the tire on the road, not to support the weight of the car. So that's what I would look for, the Gabriel air shock, and you could go online and do some due diligence, and then go to O'Reilly Auto Parts can supply that line. If not, they'll have another line, but you want an airbag, a shock with an airbag, and then you want a hose kit so that you can run those two lines to a remote location of your choice, and then you mount the valve, and you put air in it when you need it. You got it?
Got it.
Hey.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Can I ask you one more quick question?
Well, you're the expert, but yeah, sure. You go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
All right.
That really answered my question well. I was looking at, I had it up on the lift here recently and got to looking at the dual exhaust. Well, it doesn't really, it's got a dual exhaust until it gets to the muffler, and then it goes to single exhaust, goes into one muffler.
Right.
And on the other side of where that connection is to that one muffler, there are these round cans that are hanging on there. Can you tell me what those are?
Yes, they're for harmonic balance, NVH. Noise, vibration, and harshness is the number one, next to emissions and gas mileage, the number one concern of car makers. And you will see exhaust systems with a bob weight hanging off the cylinder. And Chris, think about it. if you look at the air filter, air induction of a lot of engines, you'll see the air box, which is where the air filter is, and a tube running to the intake manifold, which is where the lungs of the engine are. And you'll see this bulb that is a plastic attachment, and you say, what does that do? And it's a anti-resonator, so it's to stop this vroom. You know, we used to turn air filters upside down on carbureted cars so you could get that hone, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what that's to stop.
I did that on a Maverick.
Yeah,
Yep.
a Maverick. Gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, a six-cylinder
I do that
Maverick?
too.
It was a six-cylinder Maverick?
No, it had a 302.
Oh,
It
you're the
was a
man.
heck of a car.
Yeah, it was, really, it was. Hey, nice talking with you. Take care, expert.
Always a pleasure.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Nice fella, nice man. Mellow, see, that's fellow man. Okay, my mind, never mind. Jim from Detroit, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Camp. Thanks for holding. Good morning, sir.
It was my pleasure to hold, Bobby. I got some car information to share with you today, and we'll start off how you can designate what a car problem is just by using your nose and the smell.
Go.
For example, if you smell a rotten egg smell, that could be a problem with your catalytic converter. And you should tell the garage that's what you feel it is, and that might save you money by being specific just from giving it the old schnoz like Jimmy the Randy.
Granted, and I will tell you, that's one of the, you're right on the money there. We've had many shows we've written. We actually produced the Car Clinic Minute, which is a really neat vignette that we supply to a lot of stations across the nation. We have more stations that air the Car Clinic Minute than we do that air the 2 hours of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And Fabio puts those minutes on the server every day so that stations can pull them down. And the Car Clinic Minute is like, hi, this is Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. How'd you like to get more gas mileage? Well, stick around. When I come back, I'll tell you how. And then we run a commercial in it, and then I come back, and it's called a vignette. And it talks about the senses, you know, the smell, the feel, the visuals. But I'll turn the mic back to you. What else did you bring?
Well, speaking of getting more mileage, Bobby, some of my friends that bought a car 3 years ago and only put 30 to 35,000 miles on their car had to replace their car tires. And they felt that the dealers are not putting on good cars, and they put Firestone on, which gives you about 65,000 mile warranty, which is a lot better than only getting 30 or 35,000 miles.
Okay, well, see, every tire has its wear indicator, not wear indicator. Only the general tire line has that replacement tire monitor, but all tires, those numbers on the sidewall of tires designate the wear factor for the rubber, and like a 200, you know, is not a very good number. Manufacturers, while they do, manufacturers put the same tires on the cars that we buy, with the exception that they may put a softer tire. In my car, 25,000 miles, 20,000 miles is about it. With a factory tire, because they use a soft tire because they want the car to ride softer and a little bit of give and those things. And so you don't want to confuse, and folks, and Jim, not to confuse you on high mileage. You could put a 100,000 mile tire on a car, but the rubber would be so hard that it would be harsh and it might not have the traction. But anyway, what else did you bring, sir?
Okay, one more smell diagnosis. If you smell syrup, that could be your coolant in your car.
Oh, yeah.
It smells like syrup.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding you. That's how it works.
I agree.
You know that.
Yeah. You get in a car, folks, and there's nothing that has a smell of coolant. And there's a difference between coolant that you smell that's leaking and running on a hot engine, and then that raw stuff that's inside the cockpit. And also, Jim, when that happens, most often the interior glass will fog up because there's vapor coming from the moisture that gets on the windshield. What else did you bring, sir?
Okay, Bobby, a projection of what's going to happen, and it's not until 2025. when electric car makers can get a reduction in the cost of their battery. Then they won't maybe have to give a government loan for you to buy it at a reasonable price. And that's when it's projected. Now, GM is down to $146 per kilowatt hour, and Tesla's still at $190. If it drops down to $100 or less, that is when it will offer price competition for gas cars.
How cool is that? So we are approaching, then we definitely are seeing progress in that arena of EV cars. Is that what the point is here?
That is exactly what I was trying to point out.
Excellent report today. I thank you so much, as always. Tons of information from our Car Clinic reporter in Detroit, Michigan. Jim, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Bobby, and always the best to you.
There you have it, folks. Let's take one more call before we get off for this hour. Joe, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hi, Bobby.
Hi, sir.
This is Joe. I called you last week about my Lincoln Town car, that one of the power windows was not working.
Okay.
And you told me to bang on the door a little bit under the armrest and see if that would make it work, and a couple other things, and to see if there was power going and if the lights dimmed when I hit the switch, and they did.
Exactly.
And it didn't work, okay?
Okay.
All right. Yesterday, I parked my car in my driveway, put the emergency brake on, and these cars here, when you put it in drive, the emergency brake pops off.
Right.
And it pops off pretty makes a little noise. You know, it's not an easy pop off.
Mm-hmm.
When that happened, the power window started to work. Now, there's a fuse box under there. I looked at the one under the hood, and it said fuse number 11. I looked at that. That was good. But there also is a fuse box under the dashboard where the power, where the brake is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that there was something that was loose in there, that when this thing popped, it went back to where it should have been? Because now the window's working.
Well, the possibility is certainly there, because I have also instructed folks to ball up their fist like they had something on the steering wheel dashboard that wasn't working, and bang the steering wheel at 6 o'clock or 12 o'clock, and the steering wheel would, because it's a round thing, would vibrate like a pitchfork, or like a tuning fork rather, and see if that made a difference. Now, having said that, in a short period of time, what I'd ask you, there you go. There's the music. I knew it was coming up. It's the end of the hour, Joe. Why don't you call me back? We'll be back after the break on top of the hour for the second hour, and I'll finish this conversation, folks. Don't touch your dial. Go take a break.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Dear Bobby, while traveling, my 08 Subaru needed to have a tire replaced due to a puncture. I could not find the exact tire and used an off-brand instead. Different brand, but same size. Could this cause problems for my all-wheel drive vehicle? Tire diameter is critical, especially on all-wheel drive vehicles. Using the same size from different manufacturers can create enough of a difference to be an issue, even with just one tire. Not to mention the differences in tread wear levels. The vehicle could shudder on turns. It could even damage the all-wheel drive system. In some vehicles, the all-wheel drive system becomes disabled and won't work at all. Vehicle manufacturers state the concern about mismatched tires and diameter differences through their service departments and technical service bulletins. Some vehicle manufacturers actually require replacement tires in sets of 4 to help avoid any issues. Buying off-brand tires can also be a problem because not all brands have nationwide coverage. This is just one of the reasons we recommend General Tire so frequently, as they're available coast to coast. Learn more at GeneralTire.com. That's GeneralTire.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Good morning, Car Clinic listeners in Pensacola. I've been talking with you about your automobiles for over 25 years now, and I've been servicing vehicles right here in Pensacola at Car Clinic Service for over 46. We've won Best Automotive Service Shop, Best Oil Change, and Best Reputation in Automotive Service, and I'd be honored if you vote for my service shop again for Best of the Bay. Go to
bestof.pnj.com. That's bestof.pnj.com. Look for the professional category. Then click on Bobby Likis Car Clinic for Best Automotive Service Shop and Best Oil Change. 3 simple steps. Go to bestof.pnj.com, scroll to professional category, click on Bobby Likis Car Clinic for Best Automotive Service Shop and Best Oil Change. I appreciate your vote of confidence.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Count down to 1 minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And here we go again. Welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Sit back, ride along with me, and we'll talk cars. And I'm not here to repair your automobile, although if you had tuned in earlier to the first hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic today, I and a gentleman from New York, Bob, spent quite a while to try to determine why his evaporative emission code was resetting in his car. And it's very sophisticated, and what that means is that the gas tank in your automobile is not vented to atmosphere. And that's why when you take the cap off, you'll get that psh, and you think that's a vacuum. Well, it's not. It's pressure, because the gas tank holds pressure. Therefore, the fumes are not do not escape into the atmosphere, because that would pollute the atmosphere. In fact, if you took a round trip from, say, D.C. to the city, to Manhattan, you would pollute less in a car that was, say, 2005 and younger. It would pollute less than a 1965 model automobile sitting in the driveway with the engine shut off under the hot sun, because the fuel tank in that 65 model has a vent, and then it just vents to the atmosphere. Those are days that are long gone. 888 Car Clinic. Jam, take your call. 888-227-2546 when I come back.
O'Reilly. Restore lost fuel economy and eliminate rough idle with Likis Fuel Injector Cleaner. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, buy 2 bottles of Likis Fuel Injector Cleaner and get 1 free. Clean clogged injectors and increase fuel efficiency with Likis Fuel Injector Cleaner. Buy 2, get 1 free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Super Chips performance tuners are a great way to increase vehicle power without even turning a wrench. But don't take our word for it. According to professional angler Glenn Brown, a Super Chips flash pack has become a necessity. The additional horsepower and torque makes the whole towing experience that much better. It also increases fuel economy on my Duramax diesel by 2 to 3 miles per gallon. Now, through October 15th, enter the Power Up and Win promotion. You could win wheel tire packages, cold air intakes, and other great prizes. Learn more at superchips.com. We recently had the chance to talk tires with John Robinson, Senior Communications Specialist at General Tire. John touched on a number of different things, including what you can do to best maintain your vehicle's tires.
For maintaining the vehicle tires, our recommendation is to always run the proper air pressure, to check the pressures on a regular basis. When cleaning the tire, not to use harsh chemicals. Just soap and water will make the tires look good. It will clean them up very well. But the biggest thing is just checking them on a regular basis, not only air pressure, but the tread depth. You can check the tread indicators as well as doing the Lincoln penny test.
The Grabber HTS 60 provides the perfect synergy of comfort, durability, and performance for your light truck or SUV. The Grabber HTS 60 Stabilitread creates a flatter and larger contact patch. which promotes even wear and longer tread life. Take advantage of the 45-day trial and see what you think. Learn more at GeneralTire.com. That's GeneralTire.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad you tuned in. Just remember, every Saturday from 10 till noon, right here on your local AM and or FM radio stations, we come to you. This is our 26th year. I remember the first broadcast. I choose not to remember the first broadcast because at that particular time, our engineer was John Thielen, who is a dear friend of mine, and still is, and helped me to build the studio. We were not in this studio. We were at a local radio station, and there's a methodology in broadcasting called mix minus. And mix minus is the mix of your call and my voice, but in my ears, it's mix minus. So I don't hear my voice but one time, and then I hear yours. But if mix minus is not on, I hear my voice, and you hear your voice, and you hear twice. And you cannot carry on. You would think that the human brain, if you understood how it worked, that you're hearing yourself twice, you would understand that you could do it. Not. So in a radio broadcast, that is the kiss of death, is to have the mix minus not be corrected. And so we have a fantastic, Fabio is our fantastic producer that makes sure that I don't have this mix minus or the mix plus in my headset. Okay, enough about broadcasting. Happy Mother's Day. I want to dedicate this hour to Robbie Cravey, my wife's mom, who passed recently, 99.9. What does that mean? She was 99 years and 9 months of age, and she was about 4'9", and I'll just share a brief story with you. And if you have a Mother's Day or a mother's story, she left our house. This was 4 or 5 years before she actually passed. We took her license away and her keys away. Actually, we couldn't do it because my wife didn't want to do that, so she took her to the doctor. And here's the story. And the doctor says, well, Robbie, and that was her name, Robbie, and she and I had a great connection, Robbie and Bobby. Even the last several years when dementia set in, it was Robbie and Bobby, and occasionally that gleam would come into her eye. And the doctor says, well, now, Robbie, you're going to have to take the driver's test. You know, it's time for that. And she says, well, I can't pass the test. And he says, well, what you're driving? She said, well, I can drive okay. Why can't you pass the test? She said, I can't see. That is a true story. And then the other story is where she ran over the portalet, and which cost $406. Luckily, there was no one in it. So there's my tribute to my dear deceased mother-in-law, Robbie Cravey, who was a fantastic person who never had a cruel word or about anybody. She was well loved, and she was a volunteer at the Baptist Hospital for like 20 years, and in hospice, and unbelievable person.
let's go to Joe and take his calls. And then I see Andy is in the queue. And let me give you the number. So Miss Jan will take your call, put you in the queue, and I'll put you on the air. 888, that's 888 Car Clinic 227-2546. 888-227-2546. Joe. So Joe had, and I'll give the story. Joe has a 98 Lincoln Town Car. The passenger's window didn't work, and I gave him some information last week, and none of that worked. Lo and behold, this week and it was about striking the door and, making it, maybe jarring the motor and making the motor to break loose and work again. None of that worked. Lo and behold, he puts the car in drive, and the emergency brake, the parking brake, pops up, and when it does, the window started working. That's where we left off in the last hour. Is that correct, Joe?
That's correct, Bobby.
Okay. All right. So you asked if that would have anything to do with it. So certainly it very much could have, because when in that area you have a fuse box. Although, just for you to know, the fuse for the window is really, there's a fuse that feeds power, but there's a relay that feeds windows, because windows require more amperage than fuses normally supply. And because you have a 98 model automobile, it would have a body control module. So, and especially the later model cars, 96 and up, folks, when you push down on the window switch, you're not sending voltage to the window motor, you're sending a request of 5 volts, not 12, to the body control module. And the body control module says, oh, Joe wants the window down. So then then the body control module connects the battery using a relay directly to the motor. That way you can have throughout the complete automobile lighter, smaller wires. We got all these wires, just metrics and tons of meters of wire, 1,500 meters in some case. You got all these wires in cars, and you'd have a wiring harness that would weigh 100 pounds. Well, you can take that and you can make it weigh 20 pounds. So that's an easy way. And there's other reasons for not having all those heavy amperage wires. So the wires of today don't handle a lot of amperage. They are 5 volt references. But so Joe, getting back to your story, it is possible, definitely, that there's some correlation. But the question that I had of you, and we ran out of time, was this. I had instructed you, or suggested, that you push down on the button and with the engine shut off and the key on in your garage with the lights off but the interior light on, to see if you had a dimming of the interior light. Did you do that, and did you experience that?
Yes, I did. There was a dimming of the interior light, which I guess told me their power was there.
It tells me, and it told you, that the motor was receiving the power, because the motor was stalled, and when you push down on the button, the motor would try to move, but it could not, or up, and well, yours was stuck up, which you got lucky there. It stuck up instead of down. Yeah. But you know what? I believe that banging on the door panel did more for you, now that I know, and this is what I did not know at the end of last hour, now that I know that the switch that you were using was actually sending, and the motor in the door was getting a signal to come down, because you could see the light dim in the car. So, but the good news is, after it started working, did you exercise it several times, and has it continued to work?
Yeah, I went up and down a few times, but not all the way up and down, because I was concerned that if I went all the way down and it didn't go up, then I got a real problem. So I just went up and down slightly a couple times.
You have little faith. You have to. Yeah. Hey, you got to step up. You have to step up. Here's what I do. Now that we know the motor was stuck, and we do know that.
Well, when I banged on the door and I tried to switch, it didn't work. But when that emergency brake popped off, then it worked.
Well, yes, I agree. I agree, but the fact is, when you tried it before you popped up the brake and it worked, you tried the switch and there was a dimming of the interior light. So I know that the motor was getting power. Otherwise, the light wouldn't dim.
Okay.
So sometimes maybe it was just a combination of vibrations, but definitely do this. The fact that the motor, the little armature in the motor has turned, let it go up and down. Let it go all the way down and all the way up. You know, I mean, what's the worst that could happen? If it sticks down, you just put a new motor in it. Now that you know it's the motor that is the problem, at least you've got some direction, and that's more than you had last week. Are we on the same page?
We're on the same page.
Okay.
Well, if I do have to do that, you recommended that I also get the regulator while you're in there. I might as well do them both, right?
We did one this week. We had a Lincoln this week, and we replaced both of those. It had a switch and a regulator problem, but it had a couple of multiple problems. You know what I would do? I would check the cost for your particular vehicle, your 98 town car. I would check the cost of the labor's going to be the same.
Okay.
So I would check the cost differential between regulator with motor or motor minus the regulator.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
Okay, my friend.
Okay, thank you, Bobby.
You're welcome very much. 888-227-2546, 888 Car Clinic. We're going to go to Andy when we come back from the break, but we got a hard break coming up, and I would invite your participation, 888 Car Clinic. Recently, I received a WeGo. WEEGO, WeGo, and it is a jump start unit, and it is the size of the palm of your hand. And if 5 years or 10 years ago you had told me you could jump start an automobile with a little anything other than a big other battery, I would have said to you, yeah, in your wildest of dreams. But this WeGo unit not only is a jump start, but it has other functions, and I'll tell you a little more about that. I've got one, and I've been playing with it all week. Funny thing about that, your calls and Andy when I come back. We recently had the opportunity to work on a 2005 F-150. The vehicle owner was complaining about brake noise. His pads and shoes were not terribly old, but did have some miles on them. He's in the delivery service business, which puts his vehicle through a lot of stop-and-go traffic. This works the brakes really hard and can often lead to glazing and excessive brake dust. After performing a visual inspection, we cleaned the brakes using Berryman Chlorinated Brake Parts Cleaner. It's the first VOC-compliant chlorinated brake cleaner available in over 20 years. Berryman Chlorinated Brake Parts Cleaner is designed to stop brake squeal. It's the strongest carb-compliant brake cleaner available and dries completely without residue. As part of the process, we were sure to clean the pivot and shoe pad contact points along with the brake spring hardware and self-adjuster mechanisms. Brake dust gets everywhere, and a proper cleaning on an annual basis will lead to longer brake life and better brake performance. Learn more about the new Berryman Chlorinated Brake Parts Cleaner at BerrymanProducts.com. That's BerrymanProducts.com. Good morning, Car Clinic listeners nationwide. I've been talking with you about your automobiles for over 25 years now, and I've been servicing vehicles right here in my own automotive service shop for over 46. We've won Best Automotive Service Shop, Best Oil Change, and Best Reputation in Automotive Service, and I'd be honored if you vote for my service shop again for Best of the Bay. Go to bestof.pnj.com. That's bestof.pnj.com. Look for the professional category. Then click on Bobby Likis Car Clinic for Best Automotive Service Shop and Best Oil Change. 3 simple steps. Go to bestof.pnj.com, scroll to professional category, click on Bobby Likis Car Clinic for Best Automotive Service Shop and Best Oil Change. I appreciate your vote of confidence.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip
from Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We're going to go to Andy, who has been waiting for a while. And then I'm going to share with you a little more about the WeGo unit that I have, and just happen to have it out of my car, thanks to Jonathan. Andy, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house.
Thank you, Bobby. Good morning from the Daytona Beach, Florida area.
Daytona. Well,
I understand you're pretty familiar with our part of it.
As a matter of fact, I am, although I'm ashamed to say, or sorry to say, really, that I haven't been down to see the new Daytona International Speedway after its $400 million expansion. But I'm going to fix that as soon as they let me out of my cage in this neck of the woods. I'll be headed to Daytona. But yeah, that's probably my second home. If I were to ever retire, I would come to Daytona, except that if I made it that way, Andy, I wouldn't retire. I'd end up being at the track or on WNDB,
exactly.
You know, with one of the guys there during the week talking about what? Cars.
Cars, yeah.
Let's talk about cars.
Listen, I think I discovered your show back in the mid-'90s, and I've only called about 3 times. And I'm going to get to the funny mom driving story, which is a smiler. It's uplifting.
Great.
But I would like to tell you that I'm still enjoying my AC Pro shirt and can coolers, because I won those from your show a couple of years ago, and the only thing I haven't used yet is the golf balls, because I'm not much of a golfer, but who knows, maybe someday.
Yeah, or you can give them away. I do that. I have, where I live, we have on a golf course, we have dues, and with those dues you get certain privileges, like so many rounds of golf. So I got these certificates, and people think I'm a nice guy because I give them these certificates, right? Well, what am I going to do? I pay for them and I'm not using them. I'm going to give them away. So there are a lot of locals that are riding around. So for all of those of you that I've given free golf, good for you and good for me as well. What's your story?
Gifting can be a good thing.
Yes, it
can. My mother had a beautiful, beautiful 1979 Cutlass, and it was black. And it had a black Landau vinyl top. The interior was a gorgeous velour with a Navajo design.
Wow.
I'd never seen a prettier. And it had a tiny little V8, like a 290. And she kept that thing for years. But when she got it new, it was only $7,900, if I remember correctly. And she loved the thing, and it had a relatively robust sound system. And by that, for the day, it had like 4 speakers, woohoo.
Yeah, right.
So she was leaving her place of employment, which was the college, Daytona State now, but it was DBCC back then, and it was hot summer, so she had her windows up, and the AC was probably on 3. And I believe she didn't come to a complete stop when she entered US 92.
Mm-hmm.
And a motorcycle cop was hiding in the shadows, like they do. And that's okay. But he pulled up behind her, and she didn't even know he was there for a couple of blocks. So when she finally pulled over for him, and when she was about 53 at the time, you're a grown-up when all the police officers look like high school graduates, right? So she told me this story. The first words out of his mouth were, I've heard of some quiet cars, But this takes the cake, and I think he might have given her a ticket for not stopping at a complete stop at a stop sign. And she was chagrined, but she wasn't angry, and she used to tell that story all the time.
I thank you for sharing that, Andy, and I have to share this. A dear friend of mine, Bethos, who lost his wife recently, this past year, was driving, and she was running about 90 miles an hour. And as the story goes, okay. So, but let's don't say that I told this on national radio. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
So this Greek lady, and she's, just full Greek, and speaks a pretty good, fair English, and so she gets pulled over, and the officer stops her. So, ma'am, do you know you're going 90 miles an hour? She says, Would you like some baklava? and she's bribing this officer with baklava.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if he gave her a ticket or not.
It's a good one.
But it is a good one. And then I told the one of my mother-in-law who passed recently at 99 years and 9, and she ran over the portalet. And it was like 3 houses from our house, and she just didn't negotiate the turn, and no one was in the portalet. And so this is the story I shouldn't tell, but I will. So I was talking with her, trying to rationalize, what happened here. I said, well, I guess it was, it was the dog, that you were dodging that dog. And she looked at me and she says, and I said, so if anybody ever asked you how this happened, you were just dodging a dog. I was just trying to protect her, I guess.
Cover story.
You know what she says to me? There was no dog. So I knew right then, just, hey, let it go. Yeah. So we did pull the keys and what have you, but that's the only thing I can think of that is a negative of that lady. She was always there for everyone.
Yeah. May I say one last thing, sir?
Yes, sir.
The information that you have provided me over the years has been entertaining as well as informative, and it's made me a better customer whenever I need maintenance or repairs. Because I know how to approach the situation and not go all berserk and let them do their job.
Well, I thank
you for that.
I thank you for your comments, and it means a lot to me. And so that literally is the goal, even though I won't say I'm smart enough that originally I knew that's what the goal was. I knew that by producing this broadcast, and also we started on television, that it would make a better communicator of me, and I would be a better communicator. Because there is you go to a doctor, it's not about the questions that you ask, it's about the ones that you don't know to ask. Exactly. And so we all leave there, and speaking of a doctor, we have Dr. Curtis Schaefer in the house, who is the uncle of our producer, and he's in our green room right now, and he's the father-in-law, and I said the wrong thing, he's a father-in-law, but the bottom line is, I may get him in here, and I bet he has a story too. We'll do that in the next segment.
Yeah.
We'll get him in here, but and
put him on
the air.
Bobby, and your show has gotten a whole lot crisper over the years. I must say, you're definitely getting your sea legs.
Well, thanks. Okay. Just goes to show you. I really appreciate you.
Let me go, and you can help some more people.
Okay, thanks,
Thank
Andy.
You.
What a nice gentleman. Don't go. Let's go to New York and talk with Ron. Ron, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you so much for holding.
Yeah, good morning, Bobby. How are you?
I'm great, thanks.
Yeah, my question is, I have a 95 Yukon. I had a new windshield put in, and when they took the old one out, across the top channel, there was some surface rust that was taken to a body shop, cleaned up, primed. New windshield went in and everything. We put the cowl piece across where the wiper blades go.
Right.
And now, when it rains or whatever, I'm getting little drips coming down on the right side underneath the glove box where the fan motor is. It's dripping there. So is there some kind of do I have a blockage between the windshield and the cowl down in there from getting leaves and debris? How do you get that out of there, or what?
Well, there could be. The way we would test that is we would take the regular hose, take the end off of the hose so you don't have a lot of, you don't want to force water. You just want water to flow out of a hose, and maybe not even turn the spigot all the way on, but a certain certainly enough water that it would cause, if there is a problem with the drainage area. Now, having said that, you could have in that vicinity, that cowl vicinity, you could have some additional rust that you don't know about, but the windshield itself, that part that they replaced, would not cause that. I mean, it could cause a leak where the windshield is, but I doubt it because they use like butyl rubber and a soft rubber. Yeah, and that stuff really, really seals. So I am concerned, as you apparently are there in New York, that you've got some additional rust there. You're talking about only when it rains. You're not talking about coolant from the engine, are you?
No, it's water. It's
okay.
Not antifreeze.
Yeah, and it also, when it rains, not when you turn the AC on. You're not talking about AC drippings either.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, then I would go to, I would seek a body shop versus a repair shop. And the reason is a body shop has had that car apart, that part of a car apart. We in the automotive repair have had a lot of windshield wiper motors out and dashboards out and all sorts of things, but someone who's in the business of repairing, that body work would say, oh yeah, I've worked on a dozen of these, and I know that there's a propensity for this particular seam to leak, or, oh, that's a common area. Like you would ask me a particular question about an engine, I would be able to tell you, oh, well, this particular year, we learned that because, and to that end, that same point can be made for, we all think that there's a lot of recalls from new cars, and there are. But the fact is, because the reporting is instantaneous, the manufacturers know when there's an issue, whereas normally, or years ago, the dealer had to, or the manufacturer had to sell 5,000 cars. Those cars had to be distributed to the dealers. The dealers had to sell the cars, and the people that bought them had to put 1,000 miles before something happened. And then all this information had to trickle back in or back up to the manufacturers. Now, like if it's Tesla, they can check the car on the fly, and to that end, OnStar can check the car on the fly as well. So I would, Ron, take it to a body shop and have it checked. And
but you told me about the hose. Take the hose and
you can take the hose and run it down one side, or left side or right side. Favor the passenger side or favor the driver's side, and then see how much water. See if you can create the problem. Not to wet the windshield, but to put the water in the cowl area. You got it? Good.
Right. Okay.
All right, my friend. Hope that works for you. Another question coming up from Walter when I come back. 888-227-2546, and I'll tell you about the WeGo as well.
Your car and your life have a lot of moving parts, and your car's battery is what keeps it all going. Here's something to keep in mind. While all batteries may look the same on the outside, it's what's inside that matters. So be sure to choose a battery with power frame technology inside. It's stronger, more durable, and keeps you going longer. That means you can count on a battery with power frame to be there start after start. Here's another reason to feel good about choosing a battery with power frame inside. It's manufactured using the latest sustainable processes. You're moving fast, and you don't want anything to slow you down, especially an unreliable battery. So the next time you need to replace your car's battery, make sure you choose one with power frame technology inside. Look for power frame on the outside, and know there's true strength on the inside.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
Good morning, Car Clinic listeners in Pensacola. I've been talking with you about your automobiles for over 25 years now, and I've been servicing vehicles right here in Pensacola at Car Clinic Service for over 46. We've won Best Automotive Service Shop, Best Oil Change, and Best Reputation in Automotive Service, and I'd be honored if you vote for my service shop again for Best of the Bay. Go to bestof.pnj.com. That's bestof.pnj.com. Look for the professional category. Then click on Bobby Likis Car Clinic for Best Automotive Service Shop and Best Oil Change. 3 simple steps. Go to bestof.pnj.com, scroll to professional category, click on Bobby Likis Car Clinic for Best Automotive Service Shop and Best Oil Change. I appreciate your vote of confidence.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So what we decided to do, we being me, was to invite a guest into the studio. And this is a surprise, folks. It's as big a surprise for, or bigger for this gentleman that it is for me. Dr. Curtis Schaefer, optometrist from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, who is the father, your Fabio's father-in-law,
yes,
right?
Sir. That's correct.
Well, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Well, thank you for inviting me to come.
Well, tell us just a quick story. We're going to take a call from Walter. And folks, you never thought, but this might be an opportunity for you to ask a question about your eyesight and about, hey, he wears glasses. I wear glasses. I guess, when do we need glasses? Well, before we get into all that, let me give the number out, and then we'll have some fun here. 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Let's take Walter's question, but first, Dr. Schaefer, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you again.
Glad to have you right next to me, live in the house. And here's a gentleman. Have you ever been on national radio?
I have not.
How'd you feel?
Strange.
Okay, Walter from Florida. Let's take a call from Walter. Walter, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Well, thanks for having me on. Right up front, I want to state that I'm not looking to steal a car.
Okay.
But I see all these little videos that go around on what to watch for, and one that I saw recently where some guy had a plunger that you clean your toilet with or
right.
unstop it. And they were using that, putting it over the place for the key and unlocking cars. And I'm just wondering, is that really true? I mean,
well, it just so happens, Walter, I have seen that video. People send me a lot of car information, and some of it factual, some of it not. I don't, number one, because it's online, I have my doubts. One of the things that I've learned, especially with blogs, and you're not talking about a blog, you're talking about a video, but I've learned with blogs that the information that people exchange on blogs have, as a rule, very little to do with your actual problem. And I say that because I've had some specific problems and issues on cars that we've worked on, and I say, well, gosh, this is not the only person that's had this problem. And lo and behold, and one of those was a shifting issue that a gentleman had with a BMW,
And he said, I'd like to bring my BMW in. It's got an adjustment on the transmission, and it's real easy to do. And I said, well, send me that video. And he did. And that what he thought was easy to do would require maybe 2 or 3 hours of my technician's time. So what he was seeing as flipping a switch would be $200 or $300. And then I wasn't sure that it was correct, because at the end of the video it says, well, this doesn't work on all cars. And then sure enough, it had pictures of the transmission on the bench. Well, I didn't want to go there because he really didn't have a problem. He was just trying to make it shift a little easier. So what we did, we changed fluid in the transmission for him, and that's all that we did. So Walter, while I have seen that video where this person takes a toilet plunger and pops a door panel, it's possible that there's some mechanism that would pull against inside, but I doubt it. I've never seen that face to face, so I doubt it.
Well, I also doubt it, and one reason is I heard at the last one he opened, just before he lifted the handle, I heard this little beep like it was being opened with one of those remote controls.
Right. And I will tell you this, I have actually sat, there's a favorite seat that we have at a favorite restaurant in town, and I park my car on the curb right in front so I can have a nice dinner with my wife. And when people walk by, I will flip my lock and make my lights go off just because I can, and it's not mean, not to be mean. It's just because I want them to look at my car because I love my car, and that's it tells that's a true story. Hey, thanks so much for your call and for sharing it with us.
Oh, thank you, Bobby. Have a fun day.
Thank you. We are 888 Car Clinic 888-227-2546. I want to tell you about the WeGo unit that I really think is cool. Because it's such a small unit. I'm holding it in my hand, and Dr. Schaefer, Curtis, if I may, this is a jump start for a battery.
Looks too small to me.
It is. Now, describe this for you. I would say this is about the size of a Coke that has been flattened or made. Would that describe it?
I would say that's mighty close. And
as far as the weight of it, feel of it, I'd say it's 10 ounces, 15 ounces.
About like a Coke.
And it has a flip top on it, and I'll turn these lights on. Well, I have to turn the unit on first. Yeah, there you go. So you can see it on our Watch Bobby Live. And there's 5 LEDs tell you the battery storage and the life of the battery, and then there's one button where the light's on, and I won't point it right at the camera, and you punch it again, it flashes very fast, and you punch it again, it flashes more slowly, and then you punch it again, it turns off. But the main thing is, on my, if you'll hold that.
Got it.
Okay, I have here these huge, as compared to this unit, battery cables. So this plug-in, which is very professionally manufactured, and yes, this is an instrument that I'd never seen before, and it's called a WeGo, and I just wanted to share it with you because WeGo sent me one. They're not sponsors or partners in the program. When I learned about this, I was so intrigued. I said, I have to see that. So they said, well, we'll send you one. Well, lo and behold, I get this package this week, and I've been playing with it ever since. And I really like it. And it has a warning LED that if you're hooked up the battery backwards, as you can see, Dr. Schaefer, it has a USB for charging. It has a 19-volt and a 12-volt, so you can run your 12-volt accessories like an air pump, or a 19-volt, which can charge computers.
Uh-huh.
So here we are. It's a little WeGo, and that's a great. And I learned about the company. Excuse the noise there. Here's a company that was established in July of 2014, and before they were and still are in the paper business. but of course their business was, not doing very well. So they said, well, we're going to make a change in our business. And they got into the battery charging, and here we go. WEEGO. So I just wanted you folks to know a little bit about that product because I'm so intrigued with it. I guess because I've got it in the back of my car so that I can save someone on the highway without having to jump start my car because my car is protected and the battery is in the trunk, so I can't do that. So now I can stop and help someone.
Gotcha.
Okay, so let's and folks, there's still time for you to get in a question about cars or a question about your eyes so that you can see to drive better. That my recently deceased mother-in-law couldn't pass her test. Was that a story? Or was that a great story?
That's a great story.
Do you have a Mother's Day story?
A Mother's Day?
Well, a mother story.
I'm sure I can come up with one. My mother picked cotton when she was a kid, and she swore that her kids would never know what picking cotton was like. But one day she was riding with me, and I saw where the machines had picked the cotton, and, they always leave a lot behind. And I started slowing down. She asked me, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm going to stop and see what that cotton feels like." She said, "Oh, no, you're not. I swore when I was picking that cotton, my kids would never know what that felt like." So I just kept right on going.
And so obviously that led you to a higher education.
It did. In stages.
In stages,
Yeah.
and to that end, you are a doctor. So I would therefore say that hats off to your mom for saying, here's what you're not going to do. You're going to rise to a higher. And just last evening, Curtis, my wife and I went to the Sanger Theater here for a music festival.
Yes, sir.
60s, 70s, and 80s. And it was a fantastic event, and it was so much fun. And we went directly from work, and so we went to eat first. And this young waiter came over. His name was Sean, who works at the wine bar here in Pensacola, Florida. And we were both so impressed with this young man, and he had a bandage on his left leg where he had an operation from Andrews Institute. In fact, Dr. Ostrander, who has worked on my shoulders, both the shoulders, from the Andrews Institute, which is a world-class facility here in Pensacola, Florida.
Yes, sir.
All the athletes, and you may not have heard of the Andrews Institute, no doubt. And this young man had played soccer and won, I think, a tuition or what do you call
scholarship?
Scholarship, thanks. To MIT or to another smaller school. He chose the other smaller school, and that's where he was going. But he was so pleasant. He said, "Yeah," one time when my wife asked a question, then immediately said, "Yeah, yes, ma'am." And so when he walked away, Diane turned to me and said, "There's a young man that I'd like for that young man to be my son." I mean, literally, because of his demeanor, because of his attention to us, because of his friendliness, because of his professionalism, and because he was going places in life. And so that's a great story. Had I had a different, early experience in life, I'm not sure I would have been an automotive technician, except that my father, I love cars, and I was totally into cars, and my relatives would say to my father, "Why don't you get Bobby into some other?" And my father said he loves cars. I'm going to let him do what he loves to do, and to this day. And I've been in the automotive service business 46 years. I have just as much passion for cars as I ever did. How about you? What do you drive?
Well, it depends on which day.
You're a car guy as well.
I am.
Folks, I've never met this gentleman before, so let's talk about your cars.
Well, my everyday driver is a 2015 Challenger Hellcat.
707 horsepower Hellcat?
Yes, sir.
Really?
When I bought it, I intended to park it and just take it out for special occasions, weekends, car shows, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, the price of gas went down, and it was just calling, and I just couldn't leave it sitting there. So I drive it every day.
How is it in the rain?
I have had no trouble with it at all.
Really?
The power is there when you push on it.
Right.
But it is just as calm as it can be when you don't.
So it's a controllable bear.
Absolutely.
See, I just sold it, bought it new, a 2001 Viper. You literally just couldn't or shouldn't drive it in the rain. But you let the clutch out, and it had such an active positive traction gear that if you turned a corner, the interior inside wheel had to spin.
Right.
Because it has to have 140 pound-feet of torque.
Almost like a spool.
Almost like a spool, yeah. Oh, you do know cars. Listen to him. So.
Well, I should explain.
Okay.
I started out as an auto machinist.
Really?
And I developed a hernia. Went to the doctor, and the doctor looked at me and said, "Son, I'm sorry, but you're just not built for this." So my father-in-law had started an optical company, and he said, "Well, surely if you can grind steel and cast iron, you can grind plastic and glass." So I started making eyeglasses. And then it just went from there.
And so now, aren't you lucky, because you're in a position to where you can buy all the cars that you want a point.
This is true. What the wife allows.
What the wife allows. What does she drive?
Well, she drives a Chrysler Pacifica, the new van.
That is the outstanding vehicle. In the short time that we have left, Curtis, how would give us an overview of what someone who needs your services. Now, this gentleman from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, he's a guest in the house. How should people go about choosing an optometrist?
I have thought that question a lot. It's amazing to me when I see a patient for the first time. A lot of times, even before we get started on the exam, patients will ask me, "Well, would it be okay for you to see my mother? Or would it be okay for you to see my son?" Or these kinds of things. And I think most of it comes from just referrals from other people that are happy.
And how often do you find serious eye issues with people in the short time we have, and that leads to deeper, perhaps, surgery?
More so now than I used to. I was self-employed for 20 years and did mostly what I would call general optometry, checking people for glasses. We probably had every 2 or 3 years, we would have some pretty major cases where patients would go blind. And most of them were preventable had they come sooner.
Really?
That was probably the biggest, frustration that we would have. But now I'm in an ophthalmology practice where I work with a surgeon. So I see this, almost weekly. So it's quite different.
Well, I want to, time is up for us, but I want to thank you for not coming in, and thank you for coming by and taking an interest in Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And Fabio is a fantastic producer, and I thank you, and be safe in your Hellcat.
We will. And we love Fabio, too.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Yeah. Dr. Curtis Schaefer from Hattiesburg. Next week, same time, same station, I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
You're moving fast, and you don't want anything to slow you down, especially an unreliable battery. The next time your car needs a new battery, choose one with power frame grid technology inside. It's engineered with confidence to be 66% more durable than other grid designs and provide you with true strength every time you need it. Look for power frame on the outside for true strength on the inside. Visit Advanced Auto Parts or CarQuest for a battery with power frame grid technology, or learn more at powerframe.com. That's powerframe.com. Berryman's B12 Chem Tool features HEST, or High Energy Solvent Technology. Helps maximize one-tank cleanup of intake valves, fuel injectors, and combustion chambers. But don't take our word for it. Gary's Mercury Sable was just running awful and throwing trouble codes. A local technician said it might cost as much as $600. So first, Gary tried Berryman B12 Chem Tool Fuel Additive, and now it runs like new with no trouble codes. Learn more about Berryman products and their HEST technology at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters. I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, it starts my morning. Happy morning, your name is Folkes Mountain Grow. Now you're here, your aroma helps me wake